My wife wasn't even buried for 72 hours. When my daughter-in-law stole her chair at the family table and told me to leave my own company, she thought she'd already won. She had no idea my wife had planned one final move. For 42 years, Eleanor and I built everything together in Columbus, Ohio. We started with nothing but an old truck, a small rented garage, and a dream we refused to abandon. I repaired machines during the day, and Eleanor handled everything else. She managed finances, built relationships with customers, and reminded me that every employee was a person, not just a number. Over time, our small repair shop became a successful manufacturing company with hundreds of people depending on us. Everyone called it my company, but I always corrected them. It belongs to both of us, I would say. Eleanor was the heart behind everything. When she became sick, my priorities changed overnight. The factory, the meetings, and the money no longer mattered. The only thing I cared about was sitting beside my wife and making sure she never felt alone. During that difficult time, our son Daniel offered to help. "Dad, you need to be with Mom," he told me. "I'll handle the company for now." I believed him. He was my son. I trusted him more than anyone. His wife, Vanessa, also became incredibly supportive. She visited Eleanor, brought food to the hospital, and acted like the daughter Eleanor never had. She held her hand and cried when doctors gave us bad news. I wanted to believe those moments were genuine. After Eleanor passed away, I felt like I had lost half of myself. 3 days later, Daniel invited our family to dinner. "We need to discuss the future," he said. The moment I entered the dining room, I noticed something strange. Vanessa was sitting in Eleanor's chair at the head of the table. Nobody said anything. My granddaughter Lily looked nervous. My brother Frank kept staring at his plate, and Daniel sat beside his wife completely silent. Then Vanessa placed a folder in front of me. "We've made some necessary changes," she said. I opened it and felt my chest tighten. The documents showed that my role in the company had been reduced. Daniel had taken control of major decisions without my knowledge. I looked at my son. "Daniel, when were you planning to tell me?" He looked away. Before he could answer, Vanessa leaned forward. "The company belongs to my husband now. You can leave with nothing." The room became completely silent. I closed the folder slowly. I didn't shout. I didn't fight. I only smiled and said, "I understand." They thought I had accepted defeat. They were wrong. The next morning, my lawyer called me with a message Eleanor had left behind. He said, "George, your wife knew this day might come. She left instructions that could change everything." Then he opened a sealed envelope. And the first page revealed something nobody in my family knew existed. For the first time in weeks, I felt something other than grief. It wasn't anger. It wasn't revenge. It was the feeling that Eleanor had left me one final conversation. I drove to Michael's law office the next morning. He had been our family attorney for nearly 20 years. He helped Eleanor and me build the company legally, protect our employees, and make decisions when life became complicated. The sealed envelope was sitting on his desk. "Your wife was very specific about this," Michael said. "She told me not to open it unless someone tried to take control of the company, without respecting your role." I looked at the envelope and felt a strange sadness. Even while fighting her illness, Eleanor had been thinking about protecting everything we built. I opened the letter slowly. The first sentence immediately brought tears to my eyes. "George, if you are reading this, then someone has forgotten the most important lesson we learned together. A family business survives because of trust, not because of power." That was Eleanor. She always believed people showed their true character when they thought nobody was watching. Michael placed another document on the table. "This is a trust agreement your wife created 2 years ago." I looked at him in confusion. "Why didn't she tell me?" "Because she knew you would never want control for yourself. You would have ignored it to avoid conflict." He was right. That was exactly what I would have done. The agreement explained that Daniel could manage daily operations, but he could not remove me or change ownership without following the legal process Eleanor created. Vanessa's announcement at dinner had been nothing more than a performance. They thought they had taken everything. They hadn't. But then Michael showed me another file. My smile disappeared. "What is this?" He lowered his voice. "Your wife asked me to review some financial records before she passed away." I looked through the pages. There were unusual payments approved by Daniel's department. Some were listed as business expenses, but the details didn't make sense. My heart felt heavy. I wasn't hurt because of money. I was hurt because Eleanor had suspected our own son. The next day, I went to the company headquarters. Daniel immediately walked toward me. "Dad, we already discussed this." I looked at him calmly. "No, Daniel, you discussed it." I listened. His expression changed. "You need to accept that things have changed." I nodded. "They have." Then my phone rang. It was Michael. His voice was different this time. "George, I found something your wife left behind. Something she recorded before she passed away." I looked at Daniel. He suddenly looked nervous. Michael continued. "She recorded a conversation where Daniel reveals why he rushed to take control." My hands tightened around the phone. Because at that moment, I realized Eleanor wasn't trying to protect the company from strangers. She was trying to protect it from someone inside our own family. I spent that night sitting alone in Eleanor's favorite chair, listening to the rain hit the windows. For 42 years, that chair had been where she planned our future, solved problems, and reminded me that patience was often stronger than anger. Now I finally understood why she had been so quiet during her final months. She had seen something coming. The next morning, I met Michael at his office. He placed a small recording device on the table. "Your wife asked me to keep this safe," he said. "She recorded this conversation after she noticed unusual changes in the company." I pressed play. At first, there was only silence. Then I heard Daniel's voice. "Once Dad steps away, everything will be easier." My heart sank. Another voice followed. "Vanessa, we just need control before he realizes what's happening." Daniel sounded uncertain. "What if he finds out?" Vanessa replied quickly. "He won't. He's too emotional after Mom's death. He won't fight his own son." I closed my eyes. Hearing those words hurt more than I expected. Not because they wanted control, because they believed my love for my son made me weak. Michael stopped the recording. "I'm sorry, George." I took a deep breath. "No, I'm not going to let their choices turn me into someone I'm not." That afternoon, I called a meeting with the board members and senior employees. Daniel arrived confident. Vanessa arrived even more confident. She looked at me like she had already won. "I hope this meeting won't waste everyone's time," she said. I simply placed the documents on the table. "This meeting is about protecting the company." Daniel picked up the papers. As he read them, his expression changed. The board members reviewed the trust agreement, the financial concerns, and the recording. Nobody spoke for several minutes. Finally, one board member looked at Daniel. "Is this true?" Daniel looked down. For the first time, he didn't have an answer. He admitted that Vanessa pushed him to move faster. He admitted that he made decisions without telling me because he thought I would never challenge him. But then he said something I never expected. "Dad, I was scared." Everyone looked at him. He continued. "I spent my whole life being known as your son. I thought I had to prove I was more than that." I saw the pain behind his words. "For a moment, I didn't see the man who betrayed me. I saw the little boy who used to sit beside me in the garage while I worked. But love doesn't mean ignoring the truth." I told him, "Daniel, I wanted you to become your own man. I never wanted you to destroy what we built just to prove yourself." The board removed Daniel from his leadership position until the investigation was complete. Vanessa left without saying goodbye. Months later, the company slowly healed. I didn't take back control forever. Instead, I created a leadership program for young employees who wanted to learn the values Eleanor believed in. I also rebuilt my relationship with Daniel, but it took time. Trust is like glass. Once broken, it can be repaired, but the cracks remind you to handle it carefully. On the anniversary of Eleanor's passing, Daniel and I visited her favorite garden. He stood quietly for a long time. "I miss her," he said. "So do I replied. He looked at me. "Do you think she would forgive me?" I smiled softly. "Your mother always believed people could become better than their worst mistakes." We stood there together, remembering the woman who built more than a company. She built a family. And as I watched the sunset that evening, I realized something important. Eleanor's final gift wasn't the trust, the documents, or the recording. It was the reminder that money can build a business, but only honesty can save a family.